In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the idle air control on your Jeep Wrangler located on the top side of your engine. Now to gain access or easier access to your idle air control, we're going to go ahead and remove our air intake tube here. Go ahead and use a flathead screwdriver. I want to go ahead and loosen up the clamp here on the side. Then we're going to go ahead and go to the other end of the air intake tube at the air box and do the same. In the middle of the air intake tube, you have the vacuum hose right here. Go ahead and simply twist that, pop it off, remove the air intake tube, and set that aside. Next, go ahead and grab a towel or rag, and you want to go ahead and block off the throttle body. You don't want anything to drop down inside there. On the back side right here is the idle air control. There is the harness to the back side. I want to go ahead and just pull out on this little tab right here and work that connector off. I'm going to go ahead and push that aside. Now we have this connector right here as well. In order to get our harness out of the way, we're going to go ahead and disconnect this one. Go ahead and push these over. Now there are two T20 Torx bits, one on the top here and one on the bottom side. We want to go ahead and loosen and remove those. It's always wise to go ahead and use some rust penetrant on these here to hopefully go ahead and loosen those a little bit. Now what we're doing here is we did spray it down, and what you want to do, what it's recommended to do is if you can just crack that a little bit, spray it again with some rust penetrant, let it set. Then you're going to flick it back and you're going to turn it back in. And you want to gently do this back and forth, but when you loosen it a little bit further each time. You can see a little bit of the stud poking through on the other side of this flange here. Make sure this is spinning with the head of the screw. If it isn't, then this could possibly break. That could open up a can of worms. So come up just a little bit more, return it back in, work that out a little bit further, work it back in. You want to take all precautions not to damage or break these off. Once you're satisfied with that, go ahead and do the same for the bottom. You may need a short extension to get to that bottom one, and it is tough because you can't really see it. I'm going to pull off the vent hose separating this here. That's going to give us a little bit more room. Swing that off to the side. And our bottom screw is coming out nice with no resistance, so that's fantastic. And this is loose enough where I can just use the extension with the Torx bit and spin that out. Be careful not to drop that. So spin it up with one hand and kind of capture it with the other. And there it is right there. Go ahead and do the same for the top. All right, now that we have that out, give that a little wiggle, give it a little jiggle, and there you have it. Now we have our old component here, we have the new component here. Our new component has a O-ring seal with it, and if you notice when we took out the old one here, the O-ring is not there. So you want to make sure before you install this here, check the back side of the throttle body to see if that O-ring is still there. And there it is. So you don't want to double up on that O-ring. All right, we're going to take our new idle air control unit, make sure the O-ring is on. When we install this here, make sure that the open portion of the connector is facing the driver's side. Don't want to put it on upside down. Go ahead and line that up. And we're going to get the upper screw installed here. Just want to get that started, a few threads. Take the lower screw, I'm going to feed that down, get that placed in. And normally you can use a couple fingers there to go ahead and get that started in the bottom as well. Put our Torx bit and our extension down there. Now I like to thread these in as far as you can by hand. Okay, bottom one is in as far as I can do it by hand. Do the same for the upper. We've got our ratchet back on there. And once that screw bottom's out, just a hair bit more. And do the same for the upper here. All right, once that bottom's out, just a hair bit more. Just gonna double check that lower one. You gotta be careful with this here, don't over tighten. Snug that down. Let's go ahead and reinstall our connectors here. Press it on, you can feel both of those connectors snap into place. We'll bring our vacuum hose back over. We'll pop this back down into the intake hose here. Now before we install our air intake tube, remove the rag or towel you had on the throttle body. Insert the hose onto the air box and press this onto the throttle body. Install the vacuum hose. Tighten the two hose clamps securing the air intake tube. Once this is snug, you now want to go ahead and hop into the vehicle, start it up. Now if you have a check engine light, you want to go ahead and use a scan tool to go ahead and clear that code off of the computer. At that point there, you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.